Hello, this is Jordan, and this is your precious metals video market update. This is being recorded on Sunday afternoon, May 31st, 2020. And in this video update, I'm going to concentrate entirely on silver. And starting off, let's take a look at inflation expectations and some measures of inflation expectations, which I have there on the chart. There's several of them. And because silver outperforms gold when inflation expectations are rising, previously we've been in an environment of economic weakness, rate cuts, economic fears, the yield curve inverting. That kind of environment is more bullish for gold than silver. Now, when we get on the other side of that and the worries become inflation, that's when silver outperforms. And we're seeing a little bit of an increase in inflation expectations, but really not all that much. But nevertheless, silver is outperforming gold. And as far as that in itself being a measure of inflation expectations, it's outperforming by far these other measures of inflation expectations. So perhaps the silver-gold ratio could be leading. One thing to keep an eye on is the U.S. dollar index. It's had a bit of a mini breakdown. I didn't want to put the 200-day moving average in the chart there, but it's around the current level. So if this mini breakdown below 99 or so, if that sustains itself, we could see the dollar fall down to support around 95. It closed at 98.34. So if there is some downside follow through in the dollar, that is going to add a lot more fuel to inflation expectations, at least in the very short term. And so we'd probably continue to see silver outperform gold and silver rise. So bigger picture, I mean, in the very short term, next month or so, it looks like there's a risk of inflation expectations continuing to rise. But beyond that, we're not quite sure, at least not yet. Now let's get into the technicals of silver. This is the weekly line chart, and silver closed right at 1850, and that is the critical level. Going back more than 10 years. I mean, it's such a critical level on every chart you're looking, every time scale you're looking at. I can't overemphasize that. But, simply put, if we can see silver push above 1850, maybe close around 19 or a little bit above 19 next week or the week after, it's probably going to be able to retest the 2016 high, which is just below 21. The daily close was about 2070. So silver is very close to an important breakout here. And if that happens, it has a little bit more upside in the sentiment picture. I mean, if you go back a couple weeks ago, the net spec position nominally in silver was only 34,000 contracts. Now, the nominal peak earlier this year was 100,000 contracts. Right now, it's only at 50,000 contracts. So, and I didn't show open interest on this chart, but open interest in the last couple weeks, I think, was at a 6-year low. The net spec position of 34,000 contracts 3 weeks ago or so, that was an 11-month low. So the sentiment in silver, even though, silver has held up, the silver stock's been doing well, but if we go back 3 or 4 weeks, the sentiment in silver was much closer to a bearish extreme than a bullish extreme. So there's still more room in terms of sentiment for people to get into the market and be bullish on silver. So that also supports more upside in the short term. Now, this is really a big key as far as, moving out beyond the short term. Let's call it the medium or the intermediate term. This is the monthly line chart, and we can see that there's been some very important peaks right around $20, maybe a little bit above $20. You can see the 3 red arrows there. So if silver is able to surpass 1850 on this move, I noted it, the next target is the 2016 high, just below 21. Now, the monthly closing high in 2016 was $20.35. So this is, the near-term outlook, 1850, where we are, that's the key level. Then you have the 2016 high. But if and when silver can take out the 2016 high and do it on a monthly basis, that's going to be very significant, because that's then going to set up a potential measured upside target, which projects to about 27. So there's not, above the 2016 high, there is not that much overhead resistance for silver, and that's when it could pick up a lot of steam. So That $27, I mean, that is a reasonable 12-month, 15, 18-month target for silver. I do think there is a reasonable chance we could see silver hit 27 bucks sometime next year. So it's looking good for silver. That's kind of, call that the 12 to 18-month target. And then the 1 to 2 month target, I would say, is potentially the 2016 high. If we can surpass that. Keep an eye on those weekly closes. Now, the last chart here, this is one of my favorite charts. I've taken a basket of junior silver stocks, and I've shifted it a little bit over time because things change. But a basket of junior silver stocks, look at how it performed from 2005 to, I think, the very end of 2007, and then from late 2008 into 2011. So about 2.5 years, roughly speaking, for both of those moves. A basket of junior silver stocks went up 10x. So right now, going back to the low in March, a basket of 9 juniors, which I put in here. There's a couple new companies that weren't around in the last cycles. This is already up close to, starting at 100. It's already up, 230. It's at 230 or something like that. So yes, that's already a huge move. But if we're in a real bull market and silver is going to go to 27 next year and even go above that in 2 years, then there's a lot more upside for the junior silver stocks. I covered this in my premium update a couple weeks ago. For the junior silver stocks now, I mean, there isn't even that much of an industry because silver was in a devastating bear market. And basically, for legitimate companies to survive, they had to go into gold. And so there's not a whole lot of the junior silver companies that are left. There's not a whole lot of quality in those companies. All these, I mean, there's a basket of 9 of these, and other than 1 or 2, and those 2 are the best, but they're also the biggest, and so they're not going to appreciate as much. They don't have as much upside, even if they're the best. That's the way it works. But aside from those, all of these junior silver stocks, which have 5x, 7x, even 10x potential, they all have flaws. So that's why we have to be really careful with these. I mean, there's never any sure things in life or investing, but there is a lot of upside for these juniors. But again, we have to be careful because all of them have flaws. And so if we separate the stocks based on producers, optionality plays, and then explorers, in the last cycles, it was really the producers, the junior producers. Those were the ones that really did the best. And also optionality to a small degree. Now, so far in the last couple months, the optionality plays are doing much better than I expected. But I think in this cycle, I mean, there's really very few junior silver producers around. I think in this cycle, it's going to be the exploration companies, these small junior silver explorers, which are the ones that are going to make the big discoveries, and they're going to discover more than 100 million ounces at a good grade, or maybe they discover several hundred million at an average grade. In a silver bull market, those are the companies that can, do 7x, 10x, maybe even more. So I think it's going to be exploration that leads the cycle. I mean, one example of that in the last 3 or 4 years has been Silvercrest Metals. It's too big to be a junior now, but they've done really, really well through exploration. So that's kind of the model. I think if another company or a couple junior silver companies can duplicate what Silvercrest has done the last 3 or 4 years, that's how you're going to make massive multifold profits in this bull market, which is still in its early stages. So with all that said, I thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it. That's all for today. You can go to thedailygold.com. You can follow all my work there. You can consider a subscription. It's only $149 for 6 months. Look forward to you coming on board if you aren't already. And once again, I thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative and educational, and I look forward to publishing another update for you guys in the weeks ahead.